I love random voltages. They play a big part in almost all of my patches. I never had a module that worked exactly the way I wanted though, so I designed it myself. And today I'm super excited to announce the Random Bezier Waves. I've been working on this with the amazing people over at ADDAC who took all my detailed wishes, improved them, and to be honest, did all the hard work turning them into a production module. In a nutshell, the module is designed to be a very easy to use source of organic voltages with good control. They can go from calm flowing organic signals to causing absolute chaos. It has two independent voltage generators with manual and CV control over frequency and level. It has normal internal cross-modulation and creates 6 random voltages as well as a related trigger and gate output. I love organic voltages because interesting sound design is all about adding depth, character and emotions to sounds. The Random Bezier Waves can turn a simple patch into an evolving story, add a lot of depth and movement to sounds, make sounds struggle and twist, and easily be the heart of entire generative patches. I'll explain what the module can do in depth and then make a start with patch ideas. The module has 2 independent organic voltage generators, A and B. Both have a frequency control and an output level control. The frequency sets a steady pace with which new random values are generated. The module interpolates between the values, but it can do so with what's called a Bezier wave, hence the name. I love this specific shape because it never has any sudden jumps or changes. It's great for all sorts of natural organic modulation. However, you can sculpt the shape of the waves further. Each generator also has an offset and a curve control. With the curve control fully clockwise, the module creates smooth flowing voltages. At 12 o'clock, it creates linear interpolations, which is great if you don't want any lingering voltages. And fully counterclockwise, the module creates more spiked organic voltages. The offset can subtract or add a steady voltage to the output signal. Combined with the output level control, this is great for compact systems. For example, if you want to modulate a digital module or VCA with a unipolar CV input range. When adding offset without adjusting the level, the voltage can get so high or low it clips. That behavior is exploited to add more signal shaping options. With these switches, you can select one of 3 clipping modes. The first mode is limit. Here, clipping voltages are just cut off at the max and minimum output, in case you don't want anything unexpected. The second mode is fold. Here the clipping part of the signal is folded back into the output range. This is great if you don't want the voltages to ever linger on a value. But in combination with the offset and level control, this mode also creates unique patterns and possibilities. The third mode is through. Here the clipping voltages jump through to the other rail. This turns the smooth voltage in a signal with sudden jumps. Basically a bipolar gate pattern, but without any steady segments. In this mode, the offset and level control influence the amount of voltage jumping that occurs, again adding creative possibilities. Each channel has a CV input for the frequency and a CV input for the level. All CV inputs have bipolar attenuators, and the main output of each generator is normal to both CV inputs of the other channel. This makes it easy to add more dynamics to the frequency of a random voltage. also easy to dial in detailed behavior. For example, a voltage that has its dynamic range reduced when its frequency increases. Chaotic cross-modulation is a breeze. But of course, you can also control the module with external signals. The last section here has all the module's outputs. Each Bezier wave generates a regular output called wave, as well as an inverted output. This is great to create inversed movement, for example for stereo sounds or inverted modulation between two voices. Beside that, each generator also has a gate output. These are slightly different. Here you see a regular and inverted wave from A. The gate out from A outputs a trigger on every new value. This is great for organic clocks or pulses. And here is a regular and inverted wave from B. The gate from B functions like a comparator. If the main output is positive, the gate is high. If the main output is negative, the gate is low. Of course, relative to the inverted wave output, that behavior is reversed. Both gate outputs are not affected by the offset and level controls, so you always have access to these. This makes it easy to use them as a clock or for patch driving functions. And finally, there's an output with an average from A and B, and an inverted version of that average output. So in total, this module produces 8 different random voltages at the same time. Just to be completely transparent, I'm obviously biased on this, and I made a deal with ADDAC. If you buy a module, you support me and my channel as well. The module has a lot of value as a very easy to access bank of organic voltages, even in small setups. Let's start with a few simple examples. Here you see a wavetable oscillator, filter and panner creating a static drone. One random wave is modulating the filter and the other the wave shape. These are both from the same module, but the different generators are shown as individual building blocks. An inverted wave is used to modulate the panner, and some internal modulation from one wave to the frequency of the other is added. In these visuals, internal modulation is shown as cables as well. Good random waves can easily transform a static sound in an engaging story. Here's the same concept in a simple voice with oscillator, filter and panner. A sequencer is tuning the oscillator and triggering an envelope which is sent through a mixer and modulating the filter. The mixer is used so the two random waves with different speeds can be added modulating the filter. An inverted wave output is used to modulate the panner for some added stereo width. With all the available outputs, you can easily add more movement to a patch. For example, here the gate output of B is used to modulate the decay of the envelope. And the AB average output is used to modulate the filter resonance. In this patch, a simple saw wave is sent to a stereo filter to create a steady drone. One random voltage is modulating the left side of the filter and another random voltage the right side. The gate output of A is used to drive a sequencer tuning the oscillator, and both random waves are modulating the frequency of the other internally. Here's another simple voice. This time one random wave is modulating the wave shape as well as the filter cutoff. The audio is sent through a stereo drive with the second random wave modulating the drive of the right side and the inverted wave modulating the drive of the left side. This creates a nice wide inverse stereo distortion. Finding the right frequency and depth of modulation is key for dynamic sounds. Here's the same patch, but with a brighter sequence and slightly different settings. Also, some internal cross modulation to the frequencies is dialed in. I really enjoy it when a random voltage makes it feel like a sound is struggling for its existence. Here's a setup with two oscillators mixed before going through a filter. The setup is sequenced and an envelope is opening the filter. Another great trick is having a random voltage modulate the frequency of an oscillator just a little bit to create oscillator slop. This adds a lot of character to a sound. The second random wave is modulating the filter in this setup to bring out those frequency shifts. Here's the same setup, but a stereo delay is added to the audio path. Modulating effects like reverb or delays with a subtle organic voltage is a great idea as well. Here, the inverted wave of A is used. The inverted wave of B is modulating the envelope decay, and wave A is modulating the frequency of wave B internally just a little bit. Here's the exact same patch, but with a different sequence. Here's a very similar dual oscillator setup, but without the mixer. Instead, the second oscillator is sent through a VCA and on to modulate the frequency of the first. The first random wave is modulating the VCA, controlling the FM depth. The second random wave is modulating the filter again, and its frequency and level are internally modulated in such a way that when it speeds up, the modulation depth decreases. And here's the same setup with the delay and envelope modulation brought back, pushing the voice more into a generative direction. Having a random voltage open a VCA to control modulation depth opens a lot of options. Here, an LFO is modulating a filter. One random is controlling the frequency of the LFO, and the other the modulation depth. Using the gates and CV inputs, you can push the module further. I want to give a few quick ideas, but I'll come back with more details and musical patches in a video soon. The trigger output is great as a chaotic clock. Here's a simple sequenced voice, and gate A is used to drive the sequencer. Wave B is modulating the filter and internally modulating the frequency of the clock. The inverted wave of A is used to modulate the decay of the envelope, meaning the envelope gets shorter when the clock speeds up. Here, only generator B is used. Its gate output is driving the sequence, but also triggering the envelope. The triggers and gates are great to fire off other events related to the voltages. Here, the inverted wave is used to modulate the filter. This means every time the random voltage drops below zero, the envelope is triggered and the sequencer progresses. This creates nice movement. Gates can be used on all sorts of things in your patches, but also to self-patch the module. You can send a gate to control the level and effectively turn a random signal on or off. But you can also modulate the frequency. When set to the slowest speed and having the gate increase the frequency, that functions a bit like a smooth random and hold. In this patch, the wave output of A is triggering an envelope modulating a filter in a simple drone. When you set a generator in through mode, it can function like a pulse generator with voltage control over the probability. With a negative offset and the level low, the signal will never clip and jump, but increasing the level increases that chance. Now you can use the CV input to modulate the probability. Instead of adding more random with internal modulation, you can create a lot of great controlled effects as well. Here are two simple drone voices, panned hard left and right. the two random waves are modulating the filters. A simple sine wave LFO is used to modulate the frequency and level of A. And an inverted copy of the sine wave is modulating the frequency and level of B. In this patch, the fold mode is used in a clever way. With no offset, the voltages fall back to 0 volt. But with a lot of negative offset, the voltages drop down to the lowest point and only go up. Another great modulation source for the module are envelopes. Here's a dual oscillator voice with a keyboard tuning the oscillators and gating an ADSR opening the filter. One random wave is modulating the filter as well, but its output level is turned all the way down. A copy of the gate is used on a slow attack hold decay envelope, which is used to increase both the level and frequency of the random voltage. A third copy of the gate is used on an even slower attack hold decay envelope, modulating the level and frequency of the second random voltage. That voltage is opening a VCA, allowing noise to enter the mix. And it's modulating the panner at the end of the voice to add some stereo depth. All the random voltages will only slowly enter the sound when a key is held. The Random Bezier Waves is great as the heart of generative patches. Here's one example. Mostly I want to show a patch with slow frequency settings, as it's a powerful side of the module, but good movement over a longer period of time is hard to show in short clips. Feel free to ask any questions and stay tuned for more videos about the module. If you're from the future, they will show up here. And as always, smash that like, subscribe and bell button if you want to see more modular content from me. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching and see you next time.